Good golly goodness. It's been a long time since I've done a live stream. Right. So, today, for the first time in, it's been basically not far off a year since, well, about 9 months since anything happened on GameCast, probably. I haven't checked. Yeah, we just kind of ran out of steam with it, to be honest. Which is, it happens. So, I thought I'd try and get a little bit back in the swing of things with a game, appropriately. And the game I'm choosing to play today is called, I'm just going to turn my volume down ever so slightly, is called Loop Hero. It's a lovely indie game by Devolver Digital. I've played a little bit of it so far. Basically, the world has ended. Hi Joe Chip, I've just seen your message in the chat. It's been a while. Yeah, basically the world has ended and we are trying to do our best just to survive more than anything. Feels kind of appropriate for the current times, but who am I to say such things? So yeah, this is basically the sort of the main thing. In fact, here's the main menu screen. This game is called Loop Hero. It's got a lovely little dyslexia-friendly fonts, which you can't see in the top corner because my webcam's in the way. But yeah, no, it's wonderful. I'm gonna get started. So this is a very weird hybrid between a deck builder, roguelike, clicker almost, sort of. It's a very interesting game. So if I go into my deck here, my camera's in the way of a couple at the top, but just bear with me. Here's my deck for this current run, and I can add or take away different cards if I don't want them to be in here. So for instance, let's just take this road lantern here. I don't want this road lantern. I can just have that, turn it off, and it won't appear in this run, which I want the road lantern on. I feel that's quite useful. I am going to turn off those beacon because I don't really like them. I don't find them particularly useful. Just they're not helpful. So yeah, that's my deck of things up the top. You can just see it, and this is going to be literally the first expedition because I haven't finished this yet. And this is the game. This is what it looks like. You've got your equipment here at the top, which I need to pop on. The only reason I have that equipment is because that, if I just pause it for a second, that is due to an upgrade. If the first time you start this game, you don't have any equipment to start with. You have literally nothing. You just have to acquire it from defeating the enemies, and that's basically what you have to do for your entire run. Is you're helping yourself get stronger and stronger by defeating the enemies and using these cards here which you acquire from them, as well as the equipment that they provide you to achieve that goal. So here we have a meadow. A meadow is a little healer. So you see, you can't see. I'm going to move my camera in a second, I think. But at the start of every day, which you have about 3-ish per loop. That loop is randomly generated every time, by the way. You have about 3 days per loop. So at the start of every day in here, this will gain me 2 HP, which can be, for meadows, upgraded by having something that isn't a meadow next to it. And then we've also got the mountain here. The mountain basically just gives me health, increases my maximum health. And if you have, I think it's a 3x3 grid of mountains or rocks together, they form a mountain, which give you a massive health boost. I think it's like an extra 150 HP, but also occasionally spawn harpies, which sort of fly over to a random space on the board. Right, I'm just gonna, 2 seconds, the game does wig out a little bit when you, well, it's one of those ones where it just closes. Put my webcam about there, I think, so you can see. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, tiny bit further over this way. There we go. And then you can see everything important there. So you can see my things there. Because of my class, I only have access to these 4 slots here. I also have potions there. And yeah, that's basically everything. And you can't even see the day-night cycle because of the little the edge filters I've got on. Oh well, it's fine. Just trust me, they're there in the top corner. Now, I don't actually have any direct control over the combat. This literally just happens, and you know, 99% of the time you'll win and it'll be fine. So here we have a vampire mansion, which I've acquired. Which, hello, I think there's a cat in here. There is a cat in here. The vampire mansion, basically, if you enter a battle encounter on any of the tiles adjacent to where you place it, a vampire will be there, which is quite useful because it helps you spawn. Well, you get different equipment. Now, I've got 2 more meadows. I'm going to place them there like that because I can put something in there which will help upgrade them slightly. There's a cat here. I think she's feeling a bit needy today. Come on. Down we sit. They don't need to see your bum. There we go. Right, we've got something different now. We've got a grove. Now, grove is quite a good tile. It spawns, well, a rat wolf. It's a wolf. Every 2 days, those can move to the adjacent tile if the one that's on there is full. But it's quite a useful. They're quite useful little things just to have around. They do tend to drop some moderately decent loot. There we go. I want to test something with this as well, because whenever I've made a mountain, I've always put all my mountains and my rocks sort of together on the map. But once I've made one big high peak mountain, it seems, see, there's a vampire in this one. It seems that it won't let me do another one when they're connected. There you go, got first bit of equipment there. That's a ever so slightly better shield. And again, there's not going to be a place where I can put my webcam that doesn't cover something up. But you get, if you hover over a bit of equipment, it gets stats there, and there's a comparative window just above it, right below my webcam, comparing it to what you currently have equipped. So that's quite useful. But anyway, once I've made a high peak, if I've had another row, like another 3x3 block, it's not made another mountain. So I'm wondering if I have those, like have 3 or 2 3x3 blocks which aren't connected to each other, will it make 2 mountains? That's what I want the answer to. Look at this thing. It's so needy. She is very needy, incidentally. Right, we have more equipment. So, also, you can pause at any point, but a battle, once it's started, will not pause, which is quite useful. So that sword has the same damage as my current one. Got a ring. I can't do magic damage because my class doesn't have it, but damage to all is quite a useful stat. That is literally, you damage every hit you do will do an extra 2 damage to everything. That's quite a useful thing. It's also got an extra 2 in defense and 3 in vampirism. Now vampirism basically is just life stealing. It steals half of the life that it inflicts back, I think, or some amount of life that you inflict gets brought back to you. The armor is just a bit better. Just all the armor bits just give you max HP most of the time, unless they are enchanted in some way. It's usually what the colours around the edges mean. Now we've got a road lantern here. Road lanterns are quite useful because they stop certain parts of the map becoming clogged up with numbers of enemies. That's quite a useful thing to have, I'm going to be honest, and the effects can stack. So you can have a bit of an easier time over some areas of the map, because sometimes I've got quite overwhelmed by this. I don't know how many people I've got watching. I'm guessing not many, because I did this in a bit of a hurry after doing some baking, which took a bit longer than expecting. But, you know, if you do have any questions for me, do please feel free to pop them into the chat. Now, we've got a cemetery. Cemetery spawns a skeleton every 3 days. What do you want? Needy cat. Skeletons are good loot drops, but also difficult to kill with sharp weapons because they are not alive. Like, they have no flesh or anything like that. So they're good kills, but they're a lot more difficult. Now what you're also trying to do throughout this is collect loot. You collect loot for various means. You can get it from passing over the things that you've put on there. So like the grove will get me a bit of loot, usually wood I think. The cemetery will get me a bit of loot, which is pebbles in this instance. And these are used to upgrade yourself at once you've finished this run, which you can finish at any time with this run button here. Only problem is, if you run away from your run, you only take 60% of your loot with you. But if you die, which I have done every time I've tried to actually get to the end, you only take 30% of it home with you. So there's that. There's a nice sort of balance, like a risk-reward balance with all this, which I like this game. It's a really good little game. It's got a great atmosphere, and it's a really fun thing to just. If you want a decent game, but you don't want to be committing loads of your time and energy to it, this is that kind of game. It's nice. Well, we've got some decent upgrades here. So there's a little number in the corner. That means that's the level of the equipment. Higher level equipment is obviously better. Now, here's a stat that is brilliant to have, but a lot of the things that have it tend to not have anything else or not be very good comparatively to something else at its level. It's regen. Literally just automatically regenerates your health at 1.8 health per second, which, yeah, that's quite useful. Also, I've got Chrono Crystals here, which they double the effectiveness of a day's passing on adjacent tiles. I tend to use those quite a lot with the meadows. See, now that's got something next to it, which means it heals 3 HP at the start of every day. But I think having that next to it doubles that to 6. I believe, because if I'll take this rock here, I'll put it next to the other 2 here. They've also gone up to 3 because they've got something that isn't a meadow next to them. What are you doing? I don't know what the cat's doing. Being a pest, that's what she's doing. Trying to kill things. What are you doing? What is your problem? Well, she's a cat. She's got lots of problems. So I think having that Chrono Crystal there has doubled that to 6, possibly. I may or may not be wrong. Anyway, let's just pop another meadow right there, just in case. What bloody thing? Honestly. You see there now, because I got the regen, my health is ticking up again slightly as we're going on, and that also does that whilst we're in battle, which makes it much more useful as a thing. You'll notice I've not upgraded my weapon yet because I've not had one come through that's decent enough to replace it. There it is. Every time you do a loop, which is from your camp, like just a loop around from your camp, everything will get increasingly difficult. So you need to keep upgrading your equipment. I think the longest you can sort of leave this game alone without doing anything and get yourself overwhelmed is probably like 2-3 minutes. So it's definitely not a game to just, it's not like an idle clicker or anything like that. You can't just leave it to do its thing. You actually have to take part. So that's doing 6 damage a time. And my sword, you'll notice it does pause. You can disable this, but it pauses once you hover over weapons or even the stats of the enemy there. Yeah, my weapon has an 8 to 12 damage range, but at the moment that's doing between 6 and 10 damage to the skeletons, because the skeletons don't do sharp weapons. Alright, we've got a better shield. Let's pop that on. This ring here, more defense, a bit of magic damage, which is useless to me, and then I'd have to sacrifice my regen, so sod that. But we've also got, oh, at any point I can just pause. So this, when it says planning here, that means nothing's, like, I'm not doing any, like, the character's not moving around, I won't get into combat. I can think out my actions. So in essence, you could, this is a bit like FTL, where you can basically turn it into a turn-based game of sorts. I like that. I think a lot of features of this game have been very well thought out. Definitely. Got another grove. Let's pop that. This is another one of the things you need to think about, the placement of where you've got these things. Let's have another cemetery as well. I'm going to put those both there. Now, there will, over the course of the game, be various things that just spawn on their own, particularly goblin camps. And I don't like the goblin camps. They're very annoying. They spawn the goblins, obviously. But goblins attack very quickly, and they're very annoying to defeat. We've also got an oblivion tile here. This basically, really good way of getting rid of things you don't like. So I can take any tile and just get rid of it. So I could get rid of, don't want the vampire house anymore. That's gone. Or I don't want the enemies on this particular tile anymore. I can just get rid of those with an oblivion. But they are vanishingly rare. So only use that on something that you really think you need to get rid of. Some other bits here. There we go. That ring, ooh, attack speed plus 16%. That seems quite useful compared to the comparatively small regen that we have at the moment. The Chrono Crystal, let's pop that. Pop that there, I think. Now, as good as the Chrono Crystals are for upping these as a fucking goblin camp, I'm gonna get rid of that because I find goblin camps endlessly annoying to deal with. I don't like them. Also, the vampires, every time they attack you, they take some of their own. They take some of your health back for themselves. So I'm just gonna literally get rid of the goblin camp because at this stage in the this early stage is not an ideal time to be having a goblin camp. There's another grove. See, I don't want these to be too close together. I'm going to put it there, I think. That's closer than I'd like, but I also don't want to have to be dealing with a wolf and a vampire at the same time. It's got a meadow. So it seems to be going alright so far. This armour here is... no, it's not as good. And it's magic damage, so... nope. So I know, obviously, I only got a couple of people watching. I think I've only got one person watching at the moment, but whatever. Watching at the moment. Would like to sort of know what happened to GameCast, what happened with it. Nothing bad, of course. Like there's no ill will between any of us at GameCast at all. Still occasionally speak to Sully, but to be honest, particularly in the last year, we've all got our own lives, and you know we're in the middle of a pandemic, which it takes its toll on everyone's mental health, I think. And we really did just lose the will to be making GameCast content. You know, I think what didn't help was that it was just myself and Sully left, and that, yeah, it's a bit of a bummer when we've gone from, you know, a huge community, like we had about, you know, on stage 10 people, I think, making content with us, and then that went down. I'm going to change that ring. Yeah, as much as I appreciate the attack speed, +9 counter, 8% evasion, and 2 damage towards useful. But yeah, as much as, you know, it went from that and people gradually left for their own varying reasons. Obviously, no ill will to anybody who, you know, left, because that's their choice. That's how life works. But yeah, just got down to myself and Sully, and we still both have our own lives that we want to, like, Sully has his his console modding business is really starting to pick up, so he's gone off to do that mostly. I just didn't have the motivation, quite frankly. Didn't have the motivation, didn't have a particular desire to go out and make content. I know that sounds quite bad. There we go, I have a mountain peak now, so that's an extra 120 HP. 5 additional HP for every adjacent mountain and rock tile, and spawns a harpy every 2 days. So that might not be best to have right in the corner, because that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 slots that I now can't add to that, but oh well. But yeah, it just gets to you after a while, and yeah, I ran out of motivation to make content with and for GameCast. I mean, I did the review of my phone when I got it, and I still like that review. I think that was a good bit of content, definitely. But I don't know. I just don't think. I don't think it was the best thing for the channel necessarily. I don't think it was the content that the channel required, which is why I didn't do another one. No, I don't have that ring. It's mountain up here. Joe found it hard getting back into content creation after Christmas. The longer you wait, the harder it gets. If that ain't the fucking truth, honestly. It really did end up being like, it'd been so long since I'd made any content at this point. I've been meaning to do this for a while, to be honest, and it just hasn't happened, because you just once you lose the motivation, it is incredibly hard to get it back. That's just the way it works. I mean, yeah, it's annoying, but there's not much you can do about that. Back to the game quickly. I have a Blood Grove here. Blood Grove is a great tile to have, mostly, until we get towards the end game of this run, where it becomes a combination of advantage and hindrance. So the roots devour enemies that have less than 15% of their health left, which is great, which I've just realised might be great to put there, for reasons we'll get into later. Yeah, so that's great. But later on in the game, once a few things have been spawned from it, then a really annoying, very tanky monster gets spawned from it, which is less fun. But yeah. What was I saying? Motivation. Once it goes hard, and yeah, like I say, it took me a long time to find any motivation again. I found a bit now. Hence me doing this today, obviously. Oh, even if that's a grove. Put the grove there. And yeah, I don't know. I'd like to get back onto the bandwagon, but it's just getting there sometimes is surprisingly difficult. My current armor is slightly better than my current armor in terms of HP, and I don't use magic damage, so I can get rid of the old one. As that. But yeah, that's basically what happened with GameCast. You know, I think we've all just got our lives. We all decided to end up doing our own things. Like, I got quite heavily into baking over the lockdowns that we've had. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. Hence me doing some baking before I started this. I'm making an apple tart from Dessert Person by Claire Saffitz, who is a wonderful YouTube chef personality. She brought out a book called Dessert Person, so I was reading that, and that was that just looked really nice. I was making just so what I've been making so far is that's a lot better. Is the tart filling. So you've got the pastry, then you've got your tart filling, and then you put apples over the top. I've been making the filling, and it smells so good. Did give it a little bit of a taste, obviously, and it's just going to be a good tart. It's got nearly 2 cans of cider in it. Obviously, that's been boiled down, so it's not really alcoholic anymore. But that was good. I did end up spending nearly £20 on just food ingredients today. Like I didn't even need some of it, but okay. So you can only have 1 mountain peak per map, by the looks of it. That has answered my question. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to eating that later. But I'm also planning on making. We were gonna have just fish and chips, but I decided that I was also going to invest in making some onion rings to go with them from scratch, because it's not that difficult. I could send you a piece of the apple tart, Joe, but I think it'd probably go bad in the post. And also, you know what the British post system's like. Yeah, I wouldn't trust the British post system to get a tart to you in one piece. But yeah, no, I'm gonna make some onion rings from scratch because I've not had onion rings in a while, and I watched Joshua Weissman make some this morning, and I was like, yeah, let's get us some onion rings as well. Some proper from scratch onion rings, like battered and fried in the oil and everything. That's gonna be good stuff. Oh, we have a new thing. I'll just put these Chrono Crystals down. But we have a new tile, which is a Treasury. The Treasury can't be placed. Mouldy apple tart for tea sometime in August. Yeah, probably. So we've got a Treasury here. This Treasury puts a random resource after placing anything on an adjacent tile. So I place it somewhere, and then once I've built something next to it, then I get an extra resource from it. At the moment I have, so there's 2 symbols. I'll put this up here, right behind the webcam, appropriately. At the moment, so there's 2 types of resource, I think, or 2 sort of things. Yes, so there's partial resources, which are only partially stable, or partially complete. And then there are full resources. So I'm gonna you just trust me on this. So we've got stable branches, which I have 5 of, and we also have stable wood, which is like a complete version of that resource. We've also got metamorphosis. I don't know what the fuck that is. Noticeable change and metamorphosis. Ah yes, the common resources we all know and love. Oh dear. I don't know if I'm selling you on this game, but this game is. I don't know if I've made it clear, but I definitely recommend this game. This is a good game. That's a much better weapon. We're more appropriate for our level now. Although I must admit, the sounds that things like the harpy makes sometimes are a little bit weird. But you know, this is definitely. It's a game that's meant to be a particular theme. You know, it's obviously supposed to be aping, you know, like the 16-bit games and even the 8-bit games. To be honest, it's more like an 8-bit game. It is. Yes, Joe. I have no idea what's going on, but it's oddly compelling. Yes, I agree entirely. I must admit, when I first started playing, I was like, I don't understand this. I don't really see what's happening, but you sort of you come around on it, and you're going, okay. It works in its own weird little way. Also, once these 12 slots here fill up for your weapons, I'll get the battle. Go back in a minute. Once these slots fill up, the bottom right onwards gets converted into a resource. Like it goes in that order. The bottom right gets converted into a resource. So you can't just save something in there, and then also if you replace a resource, then that gets burned up as well. I think it gets completely burned. I don't think you get a resource from it. So what have we got here? So this would get rid of my counter, but it adds a little bit of regen and some evasion, a little bit more evasion, which is very useful. I've got a shield here, which is 3 defense points worse. I'm not willing to sacrifice that for the counter. And then this ring here, magic damage, damage to all, and attack speed. So I'm going to change the ring. No, okay, so if you equip something and then change that to something else, that does not get converted into a resource, you just lose that. So yeah, it's one of the main tenets of this game is managing the resources and managing them effectively. And also you can only have so many cards in your hand at once. They will, once you get to a certain amount, I think it's like probably 12 or 15, then they'll go in reverse order from when you, like the oldest will get burned up. So sometimes if you if you've saved up in Oblivion and you don't really pay much attention, you can just lose that Oblivion quite easily. You notice I'm stacking all of these near the encampment. That's because that tends to be where you end up at your lowest health. So I feel like it's best probably to have the least enemies around there, because obviously the effect stacks. I mean, I could just spread them around the map, but I think it only lowers the maximum by 1 or 2. So I feel like it's probably more in my best interests to do it like that. There was a menage a trois between Dungeon Keeper, Shovel Knight, and Command and Conquer. I imagine this would be the offspring. In terms of art style, I'd say it's probably, out of those, closest to Dungeon Keeper. Not Dungeon Keeper, it's closest to Shovel Knight. Dungeon Keeper, yeah, I suppose in terms of the fact you're managing something, but I don't know. Tone-wise, I don't think it's similar to many of them. It's definitely strategic, like Command and Conquer, but I think the tone is... this is very overdone. But this is very similar to Dark Souls in tone. Now, I've got a ring here, which it would get rid of my regen. It would get rid of my most of my evasion, all of my evasion actually. But it would also put my attack speed up by 28%. That's a risk I'm willing to take. I've also got 2 more road lanterns, so let's pop those down. Let's pop another one over here. Let's start spreading them out. It's a lot of road lanterns. You'll see in the top corner just about, we are getting quite close to the end. I think that's about somewhere between 2/3 and 3/4 full. So when that bar fills, the boss appears on the map. So it's not very far away. Ooh, got quite a few resources from that. Mostly meadows and rocks. So rocks, unlike meadows, benefit from having like rocks and mountains near each other. Dark Souls, I'm off. Yeah. Oh, I just put a meadow there. That was a stupid thing to do. Oh well. Yeah, rocks benefit from having other rocks and mountains next to each other. That is a better weapon. Another cemetery, which I don't really want on the map at this point. But yeah, I'd say in terms of theme, it's like Dark Souls in a way, but also it's not, because it's pretty... It's like Dark Souls, but it isn't Dark Souls, because Dark Souls is about the entropy of the world and embracing that entropy and the fact that the world is dying. Whereas in this, the world's already dead. So, and you're trying to bring it back to life, but not in the same way that you would in Dark Souls. Because in Dark Souls, you're sort of trying to link the world, whereas this, you're actively trying to rebuild it because it has been actively taken away from you by a rather hideous lich, who has got a wonderful design, which hopefully you will see fairly soon. I'm doing alright in this run so far. I shouldn't have said that, jinxed it, but doing okay. I've got decent levels of equipment. Some runs you do a lot better than others. The health is okay. It's not as high as I'd like it, but it's getting there. That is... Sorry, I need a meadow. Yeah. But yeah, I'm doing okay so far. It's like sometimes you'll end up, you know, at this point you'll be coming back round with, you know, about 3/4 of your health or 2/3, but it seems to be regenerating at a decent enough pace at the moment. Ooh, now this armour is quite a bit better, but I lose defense and the counter, but I gain regeneration. Not regeneration, evasion. I'll do that. Oh, that armor's slightly less better, but that's got stats I value more. That's got 5 damage to all with each. I think I'll take that armor over that. Still doing okay, I think. I think. I could be doing terribly. I mean, I'm sure there's people, you know, people are playing this somewhere and just doing miles better than me. They know how to play this, and maybe I don't. Maybe I'm just being terrible. That's a sound I didn't recognise. Put that there. Let's put a meadow there. Okay. We've got a new ring. It's not a useful ring. I've got an Oblivion, which will be useful at some... it is useful because it's a goblin camp. I'm just going to keep getting rid of the goblin camps because I don't like them. And you can actually see how much health I'm regenerating per day cycle in this corner here. It says HP per day. So if I just, as an example, put down another that, so it's gone up to 79. And then that, which means I can test at some point whether or not that doubles the 3s. Or I could. Yeah, if I get another thing, I can check it there. But yeah, the problem is I think a couple of these Chrono Crystals are now doubling. Yeah, they're doubling. So this one's doubling that one. And then this one is doubling over on that. So I'm getting a lot of wolves from that one. That's a better shield. What do I think of the rumours of Xbox buying Discord? I mean, it's better than Google buying them. It's more likely to continue as an actually valuable resource. Whether or not I think it's a good thing is a different question entirely. I think overall Discord's not a bad platform as it is, so I mean it's not perfect, no platform's perfect. I think it could be a little bit more forgiving to newcomers in some regards. I mean it's not difficult to pick up, but I think if you don't know, then it's not the easiest. Whether or not that would be helped by Microsoft or not, I'm not sure. Just a better weapon there. Oh, that's significantly better armor. And it's got a big attack speed upgrade. Oh, I like that. Right, Chrono Crystals. So at the moment I'm healing 86 per day. So in theory, this should double those. 7, 8, 9. That's added 3. Why is that added 3? I'm sure there's a reason, but I don't know what it is. Yeah, no, I think... I don't know if it'll happen. It might happen. So Microsoft certainly has the money to make it happen if they wanted to. It could go one of two ways. It can go either very well, or we can end up with a platform that's not as good as it is. Or a platform that ends up getting dumped in 5 years, which, again, is still quite likely. Yes, MS are definitely better than Google, but I'm still wary assuming it actually happens. I think that's the thing, that's the main takeaway though you got to take from it at the moment. Like, it is still just a rumour. It's not happened yet. It might well happen, but just be patient. I think $10 billion apparently. So you got to ask, considering Discord for the most part, like most of their users are free users, where's the gain? Like, what does Microsoft stand to gain from that? You know, is it here's one of the things that the thing spawns. They do horrific damage, but you get good loot out of them. Like that. Ever so slightly worse actual damage, but also comes with damage to wall and evasion. So on aggregate, that's better. Yeah, $10 billion is a mad amount of money. There must be a reason for Microsoft to want to pay that. So you got to think, what do Microsoft stand to gain from acquiring that platform? Don't like that shield, and I don't like that ring. They're not that useful to me. We are very close to the end game on this one now, though. I think probably in the next run, like the next loop, will be the last on this. I don't think I'll end the stream there, though. I might do another round. I've done 47 minutes, which is slightly surprising. But I will need to go off and actually finish making things at some point as well. Ooh, another 28% to my attack speed. Let's hate that over the slightly lower defense, because that is going to push my attack speed very, very high. It's currently nearly double. Could be used to integrate Xbox and PC gamers. That is certainly one possible advantage. I think at the moment there's a lot of... That's a potion used. There's definitely the way those ecosystems currently interact should be better than it is. Let's put it like that. I'll save that Oblivion for the immediate moment. But yeah, I have very mixed opinions on whether or not that will go well. We shall see. Level 10 ring. 5.4 regen and 5 defense. But then I'd be sacrificing a decent amount of my attack speed. But at the moment, with my health the way it is, I think I need the regen. So I'm going to take that. Okay, so we've got another lantern. I've also got an Oblivion. Right, there we go. Here's the boss. Right, so the boss turns the last bit of your thing into a not fun place. Apparently, he also gains more health, or gains more health and attack speed from the amount of these bits. So basically, that's one reason to save your Oblivions. Sancho still has no idea what's going on, and frankly, I don't blame you. Yeah, in some ways, this game is a little bit inscrutable, but It's one of those that when you're actually playing it, it makes a lot more sense. It's as weird as that sounds, it genuinely does. Oh god, I've got so many enemies on the map to beat. I can get rid of those 3 wolves. That will help me immensely, because I don't need to be beating 3 more bloody wolves. Yeah, this game is one where you need to be in a mindset of, like, I don't know. It's still, I would definitely say I recommend this to anyone who wants a fun time in a depressing world. Oh, fucking goblins! No, forgot about the goblins. Look how quickly they attack. It's ridiculous. No, I don't care about you. Alright, fortunately, we have no... Okay, we're doing alright. Yeah, fortunately, we have none of the big fuck-off bastards who are just awful to try and beat. Another meadow, and that should hopefully... that's the bit I needed to get with an Oblivion. I do have a couple more opportunities. The goblins sound like they're gobbing on me when they're attacking. Oh. Goblin, gobbing, that works. Okay. Another meadow, come on, give me an Oblivion. I've got 1 chance. No, that's it. Okay, so no Oblivions. Right. Extra 18 damage to all per attack. This is my final chance to change anything. I'd get rid of my regen and my defense. Here's the Lich. Yeah, I'm going to go with it. Now, I might get a health regen. Nearly at the end of the day cycle, so I might get 1 little health boost. And then I've also got 2 potions. The potions regenerate a bit of your health when you get down to the tiny marker there, which you can just see. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's see if it works. I don't think it will. I've never won a round with this before. This is probably the best position I've been in at one of these points, because he does a shit ton of damage. However, this isn't going awfully. Oh! And the vines got him as well. I knew it would be a good idea to put those vines there. There we go. I have won. This was all down to me. I have won my first round of this. Don't understand. I'll put everything back like it was before. I can't. I've already completed my task, even if the result is not perfect. He's already received everything I gather. There's a bigger bad. Dun dun dun. I just wanted to see how our crusade against the universe would end, to witness what would come of it. My presence is no longer required. Who is he? You're connected somehow, right? That's why. You will find out soon enough. This anomaly will not escape his attention. Now my explanations would be meaningless to you. So, a little bit of context. This dude, I say dude, a bit androgynous. This person you are playing as can sort of remember the world, and the explanation for all the deck building in this is that you are able to interact with certain things to put it back together-ish. That's the vague explanation. Go and play it for yourself if you want the full explanation, because it is, like I say, a fun time. Spare me your wheezing and just die. That sack of bones is telling the truth. I have a long journey ahead. I'll build my whole world from scratch if I have to, and and the skull of that monster will be the first brick in the foundation. Ooh. Yes, the sound is incredibly retro. Oh, I got the armor that I can't take the armor. Right, resources from my... oh, that's a book. Interesting, but I can take all of these resources back. So yeah, I can just... you can retreat from the camp with... So I could keep going through this loop if I wanted to, but then I would not be able to take all of my resources back. So I'm going to do that. So now that little thing that I built is gone. I'm not getting that back. That was literally every map starts as a blank loop, which you then build up. But this is like the permanent bit, is your camp here. Everybody listen, the lich is dead, the curse has been lifted, but what lich, what curse? I believe you, of course, but I have no idea what you're talking about. Nobody at the camp remembers basically anything about the world. The moment you leave and to the moment you come back, they basically forget about most of it. Like basically because of the entropy and everything going on, the memories just fade. The only reason they remember, like the only thing they remember about you is when you vaguely that you've left and that you've come back. You don't remember the dead sorcerer, the one in a fur coat holding a scepter, all the world shrouded in star nebulas, floating above the world on his shining wings and eating it piece by piece? That's strange. Everything looks the same around here. Why? Guess he's not the only reason for this darkness then. The skeleton mentioned him. Whoever he is, he must have something to do with the obliteration of the world. It seems I have no other option but to continue my expeditions. And you can. Or, well, not or. Between the expeditions though, you can build your base further, add extra bits. So you start with just building a campfire, and then you can build a field kitchen. Most of these unlock either buffs for your character or buffs for the camp every time you go past it in the loop. For instance, the herbalist hut gives you the access to the potions and refills those potions every time you go through the camp. And then the smithy is what lets you start with that bit of equipment. So I could currently build one of two things. I could build the gymnasium to unlock special traits after killing monsters in expeditions, and unlocks the village card, which is presumably in the this one of the cards in the deck. And then this one, that does a lot. Farm. All empty tiles around farms are transformed into gardens after an expedition. It gives you 1 ration for every completed loop, but not more than there are garden tiles around the farm. Okay, so it can be up to 8 rations, which is presumably a resource from here. You can build something over the garden. Right, and it unlocks the ability to craft food if the supply depot is built. It is not. And unlocks the wheat field card. Ooh, Theresa May would love this. There's a joke that'll date this. I say date, that's a dated joke even now. Oh god, I'm feeling old. I'm going to unlock the gymnasium. I feel like that's probably more useful. And I'll pop it there. Why not? Instead of just remembering something, you can learn it again. That's a nice trick. There's no ill intent without education in our world. It would be left for the savages. You two could learn a few things though. We could all get together, share our useful knowledge and skills. I already know all I need to. Leave learning to the kids. Your first lesson. Okay, so that will now do things for the world. I can also upgrade my buildings, most of them at least, like not the campfire, but a lot of other buildings. Again, these require resources to upgrade. Like I say, this is a wonderful game. It's got a lot of interesting little features. I'm just going to have a quick look. There's expedition number 2. That's going to be the boss, whatever the fuck that is. And then I now have the village card. What does this do? Heals 15 plus 5 times loop. Upon entering, it gives you a quest. Okay, that's... Type that into a calculator, that'll confuse it. So 15 plus brackets 5 times the number of loops. So an initial 15 plus, say you're on loop 5 plus another 25. it does look like a weeping angel. Please don't remind me that they exist. I'm going to put the village in there because that seems useful. First they'll feed you, then they'll make you work. Yeah, the village seems like a useful card to have in there, so I'm going to keep that in there for the next expedition, but I will not be doing that today. I think that's probably a good time to call it. We're basically at the hour mark. In fact, we are at the hour mark now. That is including the little intro while I was just quickly setting up, but still, lovely little time to pack it in. Yeah, that was Loop Hero. I hope you enjoyed watching me play it. I hope I've encouraged you to buy the game because it is, quite frankly, wonderful. And yeah, it's a good little game. Good little game just to kick back and relax to. Certainly not the most demanding game for a gaming PC to be playing, but who cares? So, oh dear. The slight thing, that bit of music just ended and it didn't loop properly. It was just a cut. Okay, about the only issue I've had with the game. So there you go. Take from that what you will. Thank you very much for watching this either live or on playback. And I really do hope to do more of these soon. Like in the future, whether or not I do is a different story. But I will try. I promise. Yeah, thank you very much for watching this, and yeah, we'll do this hopefully some other time.